Hello everyone, welcome back again. This is Aluminum Tarot. Thanks so much for joining as always. We're going to now proceed on to Pisces, Sun, Moon and Rising for the month of August 2025. We're going to do this from 30 days from the time of this reading until 30 days afterwards. And yeah, we'll see what we can find out, what generally comes out, whether that's love or career or any of that. That will resonate with you the most. What we'll do, go ahead, start out with cleansing the air. Okay, so what we have going on right now, we are in August, we are moving away from the house of Leo for the Sun. We're moving slowly into Virgo by the 27th of August. That is going to then allow us to start moving into a more, I guess, methodical and clear-cut way of thinking and way of approaching different things. You know, especially when it comes to our, I guess, our personal behaviors and things of that nature. So, you know, this is for the Sun. So if you have any kind of Virgo placements in your chart, I know that I have my Sun in the 6th house, Chiron in the 6th house, but additionally a Virgo moon. And so these will kind of influence this period, or this will be influenced by this period rather. And it will give us the chance to get down to business so that we can get some brass tacks going and clear out the clutter of our lives. We will move away from the more dynamic expression of ourselves in the Leo season, now moving into the Virgo season, where we kind of solidify everything and help everything to make sense as, you know, the cards fall where they may, no pun intended. So additionally, what we'll be also faced with is a Mars in Libra, which also kind of allows for us to become a bit more diplomatic and tactful when it comes to asserting ourselves in the external world. And that started in the 6th of August, which was last week. And now that's going to continue until September 22nd. So we move from that. And then we also have Mercury that has finally gone direct on the 11th of August. And I think that was, this Monday. Now we're moving into a period where we can finally communicate more assertively, more direct, and with fewer mistakes. We have fewer issues with a lot of our electronics, which as you can see from some of the original videos posted earlier last week, microphone didn't sound so great. So what we are doing now, we have ordered a new microphone, and that's going to be in the mail. And hopefully that will resolve some of the issues here and give us a more studio quality sound. That said, hopefully that will help with that problem. Additionally, we have Venus entering Leo. That's going to be sometime around the 25th of August, which will then give us a more dynamic expression whenever we assert ourselves in love and money. So without further ado, we're going to just go ahead and get straight into the cards. I'm just going to leave the rest of the astro transits from now. I know we had a full moon in Aquarius not too long ago. That was supposed to be a pretty big hype. I didn't really feel much of it, but I guess it just really depends on who you are. Let's get to it. Pisces, Sun, Moon and Rising for the month of August 2025, 30 days from the time of this reading. What can we expect for Pisces, Sun, Moon and Rising? From now until 30 days after this reading. Okay. Let's get to it. Current energy. What is the challenge? Back in the recent past. What's happening in the near future? what is that, the core? Pisces. Cards are being a bit combative today, so bear with me as I try to tame these things. There's a crown. And what is the likely outcome for this period? Okay, so bottom of the deck, we have the Two of Swords. This also came out for Aries, if I'm not mistaken. And what this talks about is about being at an impasse, not being able to really understand which decision to make. You have one sword, which represents an idea or a thought, and then you have another sword, which crosses that, which works diametrically opposed to it. So it's about the struggle between two things. This is, despite it being a minor arcana, it to me represents quite a bit of the dialectic method, which in essence is about the struggle between two opposing forces, which then results into a new paradigm for people to follow based on the might of one idea. And so what we're doing now, we see this as being what you don't see coming. So you're going to probably hit an impasse, probably, you know, try to get through this by working on a meeting between the two. And you see that in the card. You see where there's the eclipse sun. The eclipse sun. And it's between where the two ideas meet. And so what this tells us to do is to find a middle ground between the two opposing forces within your life and try to reach a compromise in which you can then act upon that compromise. Because what we have here, we have these Six of Wands, if I'm not mistaken. And the Six of Wands really talks about getting success in something. But in the reverse, it talks about feeling like you're a failure or not being able to see that success due to a delay. What we want to do, we want to make that transformation, because in that card we have the butterfly. And the butterfly actually has to go through a very difficult transformative period where it is encased in a cocoon of its own making. And then it literally liquefies into a kind of stew. And then after that, emerges from the cocoon a butterfly. So it goes through a full-out transformation in order for it to get where it goes. And that comes through the Five of Wands. So, you know, we would see that in your specific case, you want to make that transition, but it feels like it's being delayed or blocked by whatever reasons, and that is to be known. We have the Hierophant as the challenge. It is learning the lessons and receiving that key that unlocks the power of the universe, or the mysteries of the universe. We have the Raven. Ravens are very interesting creatures, because I love to watch Raven videos like on YouTube or whatnot. You know, you have Loki the Raven and then a few others where they have the intelligence of like a 7 or 8 year old person. So that Raven has the ability to sing, to call, to communicate in a sophisticated manner, to steal things, to bargain, things of that nature. And through the lessons that the Raven learns, it's able to communicate between species. It can actually find a way to socialize with things outside of itself that are more than just other ravens. So it's quite interesting, the bonds that they form with people. And what we know here, we have, as the Hierophant, we also know that Odin had 2 ravens on both, on one on each of its shoulders. And those were advisors of a sort. They were also, familiars, which assisted Odin throughout all of his journeys. And this is very significant, because what this talks about is the wisdom that you are imparted as you deal with these issues. I'm going to stretch my legs out a bit. Long legs, short table, not always the best, but we're going to work with it. We have here, you see this lightning strike as well that takes place in here. This is the spark of insight. oftentimes we have a lightning strike. We see that in the Tower card as well. So it's almost like learning the lessons from a Tower moment that has taken place in the recent past, and trying to apply that lesson to your life so that you can avoid the mistakes and prevent them from repeating. And the reason why I say that is because you have, in the recent past, the devil. And the devil comes before the Tower, and we just spoke about that. The devil that was basically present in your life was possibly an addiction, being unable to let go of certain things, places, or ideas, and keeping yourself stuck in a way that prevents you from moving forward. The devil, in many ways, because this is in the upright, it could also represent an obsession about something. Sometimes the devil can be a very good thing because it can represent two things. One, the need to have fun and the need to go out and let your guard down. We see this through the concept of Saturnalia, which takes place in, I'm not mistaken, it was Roman times, where people, for one day, they released their stoic appearance or their stoic mindset, and they decided to go for whatever kind of fancy that they wanted, whether that was sex, drugs, alcohol, living life on the edge just for a day. And that was their way of expressing that. The other is being obsessed about an idea that you want to bring into fruition. So that is trying to build up your career to a certain level, devil being represented of Capricorn. And additionally, it talks a little bit about, I don't know why I get the idea here, but you see that this devil has fire on its feet. And it kind of represents to me that concept of fire walking. And this is something that I talk a lot about in my lessons here, because when you fire walk, basically you're walking through the difficulties that find you underfoot in your life. And actually Pisces represents the feet and the anatomy of the human body. And so essentially the foundation that you have been walking on in the past you have felt burned by it, but additionally it has caused a bit of chaos. And so it is now going to be time for that foundation to be uprooted, so that way you can find yourself in a better place that allows you to be, more prosperous and more progressive with your life. Let's find out what that devil's about. What is the devil about? So you have here the 10 of Pentacles in the reverse. I'm wondering, and don't shoot the messenger when you say this, or you can shoot the messenger if you want. I've got a proper vest on, I'm all right. Maybe the things that you were indulging in or overindulging in the past did not allow for you to have a firm foundation. And I just spoke about that because we see the 10 of Pentacles as kind of the foundation or the legacy that you create. If the Tower is about destroying the old order and building a new foundation for your new order, the 10 of Pentacles is basically the order itself. It's the career, it's the marriage, it's the things that give your life stability, legacy, and a permanent family line, which allow for you to make your mark on society. And perhaps you have overshadowed this desire to build a 10 of Pentacles through devil activity. And now maybe it's time for you to actually look into that and see what you can do to get a firm footing and get this back into the upright, because you should have a 10 of Pentacles, not in the reverse. A 10 of Pentacles can also be, when it's in the reverse, it can be a fall from grace because you lose everything. And maybe this has something to do also with the Capricorn in your life. Maybe you have Capricorn in your chart, but it's really up to you to decide how that resonates in your life. It's going to be important for you to kind of reflect on this, because in the near future, what we have here, So we have kind of a warning. I'm getting here a bit of a warning for you. You have the Three of Wands and the Knight of Swords in the reverse. So typically when you have this in the upright, you have an owl, and the owl is with a sword. So this is an owl that brings forth knowledge in a combative manner, and owls are, representative of wisdom, of Sophia in many occultic symbols, because they can see through the darkness. And what better way to represent the darkness is through Capricorn. When we get back into this Knight of Swords energy, this is about being able to pierce that dark period with a shard of truth. And with the Three of Wands here, we also talk about waiting for your ships to come in. This is your conduit that you can see that leads to a more prosperous future that we were just speaking about. So what we see here is we notice that your ships are coming in, but if you look out that window, what kind of ship would you see actually arriving at your port? Because with the Knight of Swords in the reverse, this can be someone who's a bit haphazard or sloppy with certain details. They can be a bit harsh, severe in their way of doing that. And when I clarified that, we had the Eight of Pentacles in the reverse. So in the past, you had 10 of Pentacles in the reverse, and now you have the Eight of Pentacles in the reverse. I'm thinking about this. And what it represents to me, it represents a person whose efforts that they have produced and built are not leading to the results that they wanted. And so it's important that when you allow for the rubber to meet the road in your life, when you put forth concrete actions and physical efforts towards building and manifesting what you want, make sure that they are synonymous with one another. If you want to do something positive, you have to take positive actions towards something. If you want millions of pounds or dollars or whatever, euros, the best idea is probably not to be a drug dealer, or some people do OnlyFans. I'm not going to shame anyone on that, but what I can say is that long term you have to think about what kind of legacy that's going to develop or build for you. So the effort and the work that you put into certain things can manifest and materialize as something that does not give you long-term growth. And this can even be for someone who decides to do like the straight and narrow path, which is like a person who has entered a certain career field and you want to build a life legacy, stability, and getting your 401k or getting your pension, and then all of a sudden that's all taken away from you from the whole world order. Jobs fire you more often, they hire less, they play more mind games with you. And hell, this could actually even relate to a person who's dealt with that, whoever has Pisces in their chart. You could be, for example, this could apply. Say, for example, you're at a job, you have worked for many years, and then all of a sudden, that obsession that you put into building that Ten of Pentacles never came true, because now you're faced with a layoff, someone doing something stupid, someone sabotaging your efforts, stealing your ideas at work, things that would represent that could also be a factor. So it has to resonate with whatever is going on in your life and allow you to find some kind of relationship to this reading. At your very core, we have two cards. We have the Emperor, we have also the, Page of Wands in the reverse. So if we were taking the job route, you have an Emperor, can be a boss figure, or someone trying to take control of their life. That could be you, someone else. And you have the Page of Wands in the reverse, which is a person who wants to take control, but they just don't feel the enthusiasm for that thing. So you'd be working at a job, you really want to work hard, you're fighting, you're struggling to try to get something accomplished, but you feel that your heart's not really in it the way it should be. And this can set you back, which can then cause some of the issues that you may face in the future. If it's a relationship, it's the same kind of approach. You want to be the good, loving husband. You want to be, very leading, authoritative, but you know that your heart's not in it. You feel just kind of like giving up, being single, divorcing, and then just going off to Malta and having a good time, or Ibiza, whichever of those island countries or island nations or island regions that you want to explore. As that said, you know this because in what is known, the crown of this reading, you have the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse. And the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse is the clearest indicator that someone feels very stuck in their life, that things are not moving forward the way that you imagine them, or maybe that you intended for them to become. And so now this takes on kind of a nature of being reflective, so that way you can kind of get to the root of the problem. And Pisces are very good for that. They can use their intuition. They're represented by the High Priestess. They're represented by the Moon in the tarot. And both of these cards talk about using your intuition to be your guide. So perhaps due to the lack of cups on this entire board, this may be something that you need to get into. We have 2 Capricorn cards here. Well, let me double check. Some people say that the Wheel of Fortune is a Capricorn card, but I think it's also associated with Sagittarius. We have a lot of Earth Pentacles here. So Capricorn could come about through the Devil, 10 of Pentacles, 8 of Pentacles. And some schools say the Wheel of Fortune. But what we're going to look at here, why is this person stuck? So with the Wheel of Fortune in the reverse, I clarified it and we get the 4 of Cups in the reverse. And what that talks about is missing out on specific opportunities, things that are being handed to you and that you no longer want to be associated with. Now, you could be missing out on opportunities for you to work or to have a better life. You could also be refusing to engage in those opportunities because you may feel that in the past they were not good for you. Now, what I want to look at is the last card here, is the Knight of Wands. So, I see a person who is uttering 2 words, 2 most famous words in my life. Fuck it. This is a person who is going off, adventuring into the unknown after they've received a new start. And they're saying, you know what? I've had to deal with all of this. I've played to the rules of everyone else in the past. I'm just going to enjoy my life and live my life. Clarify the Knight of Wands. Clarify the Knight of Wands. And ironically, and this is the reason why I like the tarot so much, the tarot constantly shows us that everything is interconnected. Now, I drew a card, and this is the card that I got, the Tower in the reverse. And I spoke about the challenge being the Hierophant in the reverse. And here is that same lightning strike that we spoke about in the beginning of this reading. And this is what it does. It is the lightning strike of insight, which tears down that foundation. This is very interesting. I think that what you're looking at is now, you're looking at a situation where you're trying to avoid a tower moment. I almost see like a person, instead of being thrown out of the tower or leaping out of the tower, you're riding off and on your horse to run away from the collapsing tower. And in this, you're trying to avoid a disaster. And that disaster is the disaster that your life can take if you don't take any action. So you'll move away from a period of indecision. And I think that your natural way of approaching it is to avoid the situation. Pisceans flee from conflict. They try to obfuscate a situation if they find that they're being overwhelmed by certain emotions or by certain things that are attacking its peace. The Pisces swims away from conflict. And that is kind of what I see you doing here in the near future, which is why your near future is about maybe making a hasty decision in order to resolve this period of conflict, this period where it seems that your life is being stuck. So this is something for us to think about. What we're going to do now, I'm going to draw a card from the Oracle deck. That way we can kind of get a little bit more clarity, insight, or some kind of advice. And maybe that can help us to understand the situation a bit more. Oracle card for Pisces, Moon and Rising. Oracle card for Pisces, Sun, Moon, and Rising. Okay, so we have nothing yet is set in stone. And this is the mutable moon. You are a mutable sign, which is Pisces, and you are represented by the moon. So we may as well just say, this is your card. So anyways, that is pretty much your message here. Nothing yet is set in stone. And I believe that you are saying to yourself now that perhaps what you want to do is to have a bit more control over the situation by rewriting your future, your history was with that devil. And the future, you want to have more control and to have the pen within your own hand. So let's see where that goes. I would say that you are advised to kind of have a bit of a better plan. So that way, whatever you choose to do next will give you that firm foundation of the Ten of Pentacles. Because you being a water sign, you will need that stability to kind of root yourself and give yourself a bit more direction in your life, and through that direction you can then flow in the proper way towards more abundance, the mouth of the river as it's represented. And so things are changing fast, they're changing rapidly in your life, and I think that what you're trying to do now is you're trying to ride the wave in order to escape the tower. I'm getting that scene from Escape from New York, actually, or Escape from LA, where he's like riding off as, you know, everything's collapsing around him in the background. So, I don't know, I can't really think of anything else at this point. That's all I have for you for today. Good luck, Pisces. I hope things work out well for you. And do take note on a few things. Reflect on your past life. Think about your future and what you want it to be. I would avoid making hasty decisions that could then sabotage your future and put you right back into this devil energy. So that's what I would just want to say for you for this particular period in time. Anyways, gonna wrap it up. Thanks so much. Till next time, love and light. All the best.